Forged by the fires of our trials, refined by God's craftsmanship.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Virilis podcast. Tyler here, and today we're going to be meeting. He's been on our podcast before, doing the devotions with us, but we'll be meeting even more today. Matt, welcome. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Cool. So Matt has actually a pretty incredible testimony. Is Yeah, but before we get into that, I'll give him his flowers a little bit. He's been leading groups with us for over 10 years, and he leads groups of his own as well. And he does some special stuff where he'll do combine martial arts and self-defense instruction with the word. And we love that he does that. But we're here to meet him and get his testimony a little bit. So, Matt, let's start us off. Tell us about your childhood, man. How was that?
So growing up, I grew up in Vietnam, and it was a predominantly Buddhist and Taoism, Caodism, religion. So my whole family is really deep into that. And I grew up post-war, and it was a challenging time where we were really poor. We were kind of starving almost. And I remember times when my mom would sacrifice not eating any meat. She'll just eat rice, and she'll save it for me. Growing up in that time, it's like scarcity, and then religion too was a big factor. My grandpa, he was a leader in that religious movement. Even our third floor rooftop patio was a huge shrine, and I grew up just seeing this giant shrine with this giant eye. And if you look into the history, it's really crazy. But I won't get into that. But um, family flew over to the U.S., and we try to escape that poverty, post-war poverty, and we came over to the U.S. and I lived in Philadelphia, so I was raised in Philly.
Nice, just like
Um,
Fresh Prince.
Fresh Prince, exactly. Um, it's really similar, It's in the playgrounds where I spend most of the days,
Showing up, Max.
rollerblading,
Oh, cool.
showing up, man.
Sorry.
Exactly. Um, but as the only Asian kid in school, I got bullied a lot.
Mm.
Um, and that being bullied, I one time I fought back, and I fought back, I pushed back, but the teacher only saw me pushing the guy, didn't see I was being bullied the whole time. So they kicked me out of school. When they called my mom in and said, "Hey, we don't have a zero tolerance for fighting, and we're gonna kick you out." So my mom was like, "Oh no, what am I gonna do?" It's the only school close to home because at that time we didn't have a car, and my mom just found the nearest job. She could walk there, and so we're like, okay, the only closest school is a Catholic school. And my mom was like, "Oh no, it's gonna be expensive." So she put in a lot of more time, working overtime, working two jobs even just to afford that.
Yeah,
So,
and if you don't mind me asking this important detail, where is your father in all this?
so my that's a good question. So my dad, he and my mom separated because he had a drinking and gambling problem. So really, really sad story where my mom and him, they fell in love, but eventually he started drinking a lot, and he gambled away all his money and even her bike, her motorcycle, which is the only possession that she had because post-war poverty, and she scraped together as much money as she can to buy this, and he gambled it away, and my mom was very livid, and I remember them fighting. I was a baby. I was maybe 3 years old, and that was one of my earliest memories was them fighting over that, um, and they split up, and we moved to the U.S. without him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
and yeah, I mean, I kept in touch with him once in a while, um, phone call once a year on my birthday, but he passed away from liver cirrhosis from
Mm,
drinking too much
drinking. Yeah.
when I was just a kid, when I was just in middle school. So I didn't really have a dad. Went to Philly. That's met my first stepdad. My mom met my first stepdad, and he was a provider type. He was strong and stoic, and um, but he also had a drinking problem. My mom really knew how to choose them, huh?
Mm,
He had a drinking problem. He got violent, and so my mom pulled me out of that school, took me in Catholic school, and I guess that brought a lot of stress to them as well because of the financial burden. It was really expensive, and that was my first introduction to Christianity.
hmm How old were you coming into this Catholic school?
So I started second grade.
Okay. That's like
Yeah,
8.
yeah,
Yeah.
8.
Yeah. So this
Um,
what you've covered so far is about 5 years time. So we're from like
yeah.
3 earliest memories,
hmm
and then coming to the United States, and then now you're 8, getting kicked out of school, coming into Catholic
Yeah.
school.
Yeah, I got bullied a lot
hmm
because one, I didn't know any English,
Mm,
right? And it's funny because it only took me a year and 2 years to learn English.
mm,
Yeah, I was very quick. My second grade teacher was like, "Wow, you're learning English really fast." Um, and so I went to Catholic school that time, and that's when my mom met my met her husband. Oh, they didn't get married, but it was my stepdad, and he was uh, he was drunk all the time, and he would go out until like 3 a.m., 4 a.m. My mom just got fed up with that. Um, and but he helped us out a lot, and I thank him, because he was able to provide for me to go to Catholic school, and that kind of built a foundation of who I am today.
mm.
Um,
So it was a good
it's,
school.
it was a very good school.
hmm
The teachers taught very well. Um, you have the occasional nun teacher that would like smack you on your wrist
Yeah,
when you have the wrong answer, when you misbehave.
right. Got the ruler
But
and all that.
yeah, um, but yeah, I began to know who Jesus was, right? But not really, because
Yeah.
I was a kid and I was Catholic school. Just um, eventually, when I when I grew up, I was there only to third grade. Actually, I was only in Catholic school for 2 years, and I became kind of a troublemaker there.
Oh, really?
Yeah, the nun teachers had to call in my grandpa a lot uh, to say hey, or call my mom to tell my grandpa because he's the one that picked me up. He walked me to school and back every day. Say, hey, you're gonna have to come a little bit later. He's in detention.
Wow.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, so I was there. I met a really good friends, and it was a really good experience. So that kind of built that foundation. Like, oh, Christianity, Catholic, not bad, right?
hmm
Because going in there, I'm like, who is God? Who is Jesus? Who is this, right? But they didn't force you when you're that young. They don't
Right.
shove it down your throat. Um, but they do say, "Our Father who art in heaven," the prayer, "Our Father,"
Yeah.
and Hail Mary prayer every morning. And
hmm
I'm just reciting it. I don't know what that means.
Right.
And eventually, my stepdad at that time, one time I was wanting to watch cartoons, but he was recording a boxing match, and um, I stopped the recording to watch a cartoon. He got really mad. He took the TV, threw it down, took the cable, and whipped me with it.
Wow.
And my mom was like, "What did you just do to my son? He has, on his arm this long red, thing. And
Lash.
my grandpa came down. He was about to throw hands. He was like, "You're not touching my grandchild," you know. Um, so she had to leave him, and she saw the pattern, right? Coming home late, don't know where he is, drunk all the time, throwing parties at the house without her permission, using all the money, drinking and partying.
Mm-hmm.
And eventually she was seeing what my dad, he was becoming like my dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so she left him, and she said, "Hey, I'm gonna move in with my sister in California."
Wow. How old are you at this point?
This was still, yeah, third grade, end of third
Okay.
grade.
Wow. So you made it in Philly for like a couple years.
Yeah, I was there for a couple of years. And funny story too, side note, the day before I was supposed to fly out, I got in big trouble. I started a fire. Like, I was a troublemaker.
Mm-hmm.
I started a fire down at the creek, a huge fire, lit this whole refrigerator on fire. And the cops came to the house, and they're like, "Hey, we're trying to investigate." Everyone's saying it's you. Of course, they'll blame me, but I was part of a group of four, and
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't the one that lit the match. Maybe I helped get some wood and all that stuff, but they're like, "Oh yeah, my mom was like, "Yeah, we're leaving tomorrow to California," and they're like, "Oh, okay, see you later."
Wow. Yeah, I was smart of those kids, give give the guy the guy leaving.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, and then they I was the only Asian kid there too, and so it was an easy target.
Yeah, yeah.
But they were nice kids. I mean, I grew
Okay.
up with them. Yeah, they were
Aside
nice
from almost
kids.
burning the neighborhood down.
Oh yeah, that was really bad.
But
Moved
you
to
keep,
California. Yeah, sure.
yeah, but I just noticed a pattern. A few times you said, "But I was a bad kid. I was a bad kid." I don't think you're a bad kid. I just
I was a kid.
you had a difficult upbringing. You were acting out a bit,
Yeah,
and that's a pretty normal thing.
yeah.
So you moved to California. What was life like when you moved in there? Who were you moving in with, and where you moved to, and where was all that? What was all that like?
So my mom called her sister and said, "Hey, is there any chance I can move in with you?" She said, "Sure, come in." Right. My aunt, she has been a big supporter of me and my mom, and my grandpa took us in. We lived with them for fourth grade all the way to seventh grade, and lived with them. And my mom did everything she could to help, because she didn't want my aunt didn't want her to pay rent. So clean the house, cooked, do everything she can. And my mom, when I got baptized, by the way, just backtracking a little bit, I got baptized when I was a kid
Mm-hmm.
in the Catholic school,
That's cool.
right? And she named me Matthew. Um, but coming over here, she was like, "Hey, that was actually kind of good for him. Let's put him back into Catholic school, right?" But we didn't have the money. She had no job over here,
Mm-hmm.
so a couple years went by.
Went to
She
public school for a few
went to
years.
public school for a few years. I went to Carrie Smith. It's actually right down the street from here.
Mm.
Walk like 2 minutes. Um, and then once I got to middle school, she let me go to a Sunday school, a
Mm.
Catholic Sunday school. And by that time, I was just, I have no clue, right? It's been a couple of years, but they threw me back into it
Mm-hmm.
and put me into leadership. Like, I was like helping do altar boy stuff, help whatever I can. But it was mostly learn Vietnamese and learn Catholicism.
Yeah. So, you got back into Catholic Sunday school at least. So you and I actually have a similar upbringing where, like, I was going to Catholic Sunday school as well, and I was getting a lot of head knowledge. But me personally, I wasn't connecting a lot because I keep hearing you've said it a few times where you're like, "Well, I was just young, and I didn't know like what this all meant."
Mhm.
Was it the same for you, where you were learning a lot in your head, but did you feel connected to Jesus, the Holy Spirit, and all that at the
Not at
time?
all.
Yeah, man.
Mm-mm. Yeah, I was definitely head knowledge, and at that moment, it was very surface level.
Mm,
Um, and the more I asked questions in Catholic Sunday school, I would ask questions, and the pastor or the priest or the whatever they call themselves, they didn't have the answers for me.
wow. Do you have an
Um,
example of a question you would ask?
yeah, so I was actually very curious because then I was reading through the New Testament, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I was just like reading. They had like the easy kid version. I forgot what
Mm-hmm.
it was. Reading. I was like, hey, there's no mention of Mary here. Why are you guys praying to her, right?
Oh, yeah,
And
yeah.
they're like, nope, we don't talk about that. I'm like, huh? What's going on here?
Yeah, calling
um,
out the denomination there.
so at an early age, I mean, this was eighth, ninth, 10th grade, right? When I
Yeah.
was in Catholic Sunday school,
Mm-hmm.
becoming increasingly skeptical of the religion.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't know who Jesus was, and I was, I was probably agnostic. Um, I actually prayed more, believe it or not, to Buddha, and let me tell you why. Because when I was born, I was actually a very frail baby, and I was gonna die. My
Wow.
mom called out to Buddha and said, "Hey, can you take care of him? And I promise to give you fruit once a week."
Wow.
And I got healthy really fast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but for me, like Buddha was always seek peace and enlightenment and things like that, right? But
Mm-hmm.
the more I asked questions about that too, the more I got shut down. Like, did Buddha ever call himself God, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, and the more I just question, it just doesn't make sense. But I didn't believe in Jesus, Mary, the whole ordeal um,
Yeah, so this
at
was
all.
like you would say ninth, 10th grade, you
Yeah,
became
10th grade,
agnostic.
I was 15, 16. All I cared about was trying to get into college, my girlfriend, get into fights. I
Mm-hmm.
was part of this group of like gangsters, what they call themselves, right? This Vietnamese group where they would just start fights and gamble and um eventually my girlfriend was like, it's either them or me.
Wow.
Um and I was like, I choose you. So I stopped hanging out with them, thank
Oh,
God.
wow. Wow.
Because one of my best friends, he was in the group too.
Mm-hmm.
He joined right after me and he wanted to prove himself. So when they got into this huge fight between SoCal and NorCal, the
Yeah.
NorCal people, SoCal came over to help us against the other group, the other gang.
Yeah.
He hit this guy in the head with a 2x4, and the guy was in a coma for like 2 years.
Wow. Was
And
this
so he
Independence High School?
Independence High School, yeah,
Yeah. So just for audience, no, like Independence High School is in the Silicon Valley, probably the most dangerous public school, like high school. Lots of gang fights there. I knew this back when I was in high school. I had friends go there too. And um, often I've heard of a lot of people who've gone there who ended up in juvie or prison because I don't know, they hurt someone super bad or something. So your story is one of many coming out of that high school.
yeah. So my my mom actually saw a fight that
Mm.
I was in, and she was like, "All right, that's it. You're going to Taekwondo."
Oh, that's how you got started.
Yeah, she saw it. She was like, "You're not gonna lose the next one."
Wow.
No, she's a really cool mom, right? She disciplines when she can, and when I was a kid, I did something bad. She would hit me with like a small broom,
Mm-hmm.
like a feather duster.
Yeah.
And then I'll cry and she'll hold me crying, right? It's like, I don't want to hurt you. I don't want to hit you, but you're bad. I need to teach you. I started listening to my mom ever since.
Mm-hmm.
So when she saw me get into a fight, she was like, what do I do? Do I punish him? Right? Or do I teach him maybe you could be disciplined. You don't
Mm-hmm.
have to fight.
Mm-hmm.
But if you get into a fight, you could protect yourself.
Yeah, that was actually good parenting, a similar upbringing as well. That's another thing we have in common. We both started our martial arts experience with Taekwondo, and um, for me, wise also bullied as a kid and fighting back, and my parents, same thing. Teach them how to fight instead of have them be a coward or something. Um,
Exactly. Exactly.
yeah, man.
That built a lot of confidence, honestly. And uh, after that, like before that, yeah, I was just not in a good place too. But after that, I started making more friends, becoming more confident. Started, became a black belt assistant instructor.
Hmm.
It was great.
Yeah, so that
Fast,
actually put you like on a different path in life. Like you were,
it did, yeah,
yeah. So everything kind of started coming together for you.
yeah. Yeah, but eventually, once I got to high school and college, I stopped going to church, like stopped completely.
Yeah.
I used to go to church with my aunt a lot.
Hmm.
My mom, not so much. When she was around, my mom, she never really got into that Catholicism
Hmm.
because she just never felt like she fit into that crowd.
Wow.
I thank God to this very day because probably my second to last year of high school, she met a man. He's my second stepdad. Um, she met him when we were like really when we were really poor at that time. She wasn't working. I don't think she was working at all, and we were kind of relying on Section 8 housing
Mm.
and welfare. She met him, and she uh, she became his caretaker because he's a Vietnam vet, and
Wow.
so she became his caretaker, and eventually she was able to earn a lot of money, a decent living, and through him actually he introduced her to Christ,
Wow.
right? He brought her to a Lutheran church,
Hmm.
so they got married there.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Your second stepdad got married. Wow.
yeah. That was my official stepdad.
Hmm.
She got married at the Lutheran church, and I was like really surprised, right? She's Buddhist,
Hmm.
and he told her basically, in my house we only worship the Lord,
Wow.
and she got rid of all her Buddhist things.
Yeah, so observation as well. For our audience, you might have missed this. You grew up in Vietnam, um, post-war, and the country was reeling for decades after the Vietnam
Hmm.
War.
Yeah.
And your mom, who suffered because of the Vietnam War, finds
Hmm.
a Vietnam vet
Exactly.
he was American Vietnam vet?
No, he was Vietnamese, so his story is crazy, right? He grew up in a rural village, and oh my goodness, his story just one day. This was right when the North invaded, and he was in the house with his family. They were having his birthday dinner meal,
Wow.
his birthday dinner, and they come in, and I don't know why the North did what they did, and there's no justification to it, but it was a war where they just came and just tried to take everything that everyone's property, right? Communism. They came, but the his dad and his uncles fought back and said, "No, you're not coming here. You can't come into this house." And so they were all shot.
Oh,
He was in the closet. His mom tried to help, tried to rush, but she was shot too. And then right before she shoved him in the closet and said, "Do not make a noise." And so he did. He was there. And a couple hours later, he opens the door and finds everyone dead. They're gone. They took all the valuables, everything, right? They took everything, all the business leases and deals and contracts, took everything. Came
yeah.
out to a bloody mess. So he grew up in the jungle, and he had survivors of the war, like people were raising him. He was living on eating insects and frogs. Yeah, he told me to this day he would not eat a frog. Like in Vietnam, we eat frogs a lot, like frog legs.
Hmm.
He's like, I'm never gonna eat another frog ever again.
Wow. So,
Um,
so he joined the Americans?
yeah, so he lived in the jungle for years, where he would make a slingshot out
Wow.
of rubber bands, right, and twigs and sticks, and he was so deadly accurate. He would shoot down a fly, and even like after after when he's like 67, 70 years old, I was like, prove it. You got a rubber band and hit a fly off right off the air and hits the wall dead. So
Wow.
he's super accurate, right? And he went to the Marines, said, "Hey, I want to join you." And they said, "Okay, what can you do for us?" He took his slingshot and showed him, and then they're like, "Here, what can you do with a gun?" Super deadly accurate with a gun. Super deadly. He was a sniper.
Wow. Man,
So
what a
he
story. That's a whole
right.
podcast in itself.
I know. Yeah, so he joined the Marines. So he was an ex-Marine. He was able to come to the United States as a refugee after his leg got blown off by a mine.
Oh, wow.
So he came over here. The government helped him with disability and everything like that. And so that's why my mom was able to be his caretaker
Yeah.
because of that leg. Because it's so full circle, right?
Yeah.
Uh, it's kind of crazy.
Yeah, and if she didn't end up becoming his caretaker, she might not have found Christ herself.
Exactly, exactly. He was very religious, right? Um, we had Mormons come to the house. Hey, have you heard of the Book of Mormon and all that stuff? It was like, ah, come in, come. They come in, and these Mormon, these like they're white, they speak fluent Vietnamese, and he's like telling them, Christ is God. Christ is God. Look, this is what the book of John is saying. This is this. Look, if you compare to Genesis, if you compare this, look,
Yeah.
Christ died on Mount the Calvary, right? On Calvary, on Mount Malgalta, whatever. I forgot what it's called. But that's the same mountain that Abraham was going to sacrifice Isaac,
Yeah.
right? Um, he was like, look at all these connections. Christ is God.
Yeah, he's
And
evangelizing to
he's
Mormon
evangelizing these Mormons.
missionaries.
So he's not letting them leave. You know how
Right.
they always want to stay at your house. I don't know
Right.
if you ever been
Oh,
there.
yeah,
You
I've
guys,
talked to them. Yeah.
yeah, they don't want to leave. They want to just talk your ear off.
He
But
was
they
doing it
wanted
to
to
them.
leave.
I love it. You're like out pestered Mormon missionaries. I love
It's
that.
funny. Yeah, it's funny because he would just like um, preach to them, right? And they're like, "Oh shoot, look, it's the time. I gotta go." Right? So he finally let them leave after a couple hours. He sees them around the neighborhood a couple of days later. He does it again.
Come
He
in,
comes
come
up to
in.
you. Hey, you guys, I gotta talk to you. I gotta show you something. And I've never seen them again in my neighborhood.
Yeah, that's hilarious. It's like, either he converted them or they decided to not come back.
Yeah.
But so you definitely had a roller coaster, ups and downs in your faith, and that's
Mhm.
part pretty early in your life where you remember feeling that tug of war between stuff your family was doing versus, what God, I think, is calling you to, you know, to go in your life. Um, but we get caught up here. You said your mom got married to your stepdad, who was a Lutheran.
Yeah,
Um,
Lutheran Christian.
yeah,
We could kind of fast forward that a little bit. Um, they were in a very happy marriage. He was a really good stepdad. He cooked for us. He helped us out whenever we can. He
yeah.
was never angry at me. He was never violent at me. Never yelled at me.
Wow.
He was a really good role model, and that
Mm-hmm.
was the only. Besides my uncle, my aunt's husband, he was a really good role model. He's been Catholic all his life. We moved out of my aunt's house by that time. We had our own place. We had our own apartment. So there was no role model in my life, right? And that's why I tended to flock towards the Asian gangsters.
Mm,
So I didn't have anyone to look up to, um, and would model my future and the way I should act and behave or anything like that. So he was really good, but it was very short lived.
yeah.
Because my mom, she had hepatitis of her liver, which is a infection, and
Mm-hmm.
she passed away. Unfortunately, she passed away the the 2 days after I got back from my summer vacation in Virginia with my other aunt, and I didn't get to spend the last summer with her.
Did you know
And
she
so,
was going to pass?
no, actually, she knew, right?
Yeah, but
Because
how did you find out?
well, when I came back, she died.
Did,
She started to feel sick. Um,
oh, wow.
yeah, but that actually she knew she was gonna die because even though my mom then she was a Christian,
Mm-hmm.
she still believed in what is it, psychics, right? Fortune
Okay.
tellers.
Mm-hmm.
Went to a fortune teller and said, "You're gonna die this year." They literally told her that, like, this is your year to die. And she prepared everything. She started buying gold with her money, and um, uh, she started putting aside this and that for trust fund and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Setting up the life insurance, whoever gets the money, things like that. But my mom knew she was going to pass, so I spent a summer in Virginia, and I came back, and the 2 days after I came back, she started to feel weak, and she couldn't eat or anything. And she was feeling this pain on her appendix area. But they came there, they're like, "There's no appendicitis, but there's inflammation everywhere on her liver, her kidneys. There's a blockage in one of the arteries that's leading inside her liver and kidneys, so it's not filtering the blood properly. Um, so she didn't have much time after that. They diagnosed her.
Mm-hmm.
I came home, uh, pretty really sad, devastated, but I didn't know she was gonna pass away. And you know, at that time for me, every time there's something wrong, I always hop on a game. So I was playing Final Fantasy, and I fell asleep at the couch. Woke up in the morning. My aunt calls me, "Hey, mom passed away."
Oh, I'm sorry,
So
man.
thank you. Yeah, I rushed to the hospital, and I was just in shock at that time. But long story short, yeah, she was my rock, man. I grew up. I was a single child and with a single mom, basically, right? I only had the stepdad at the end and the beginning, but single mom. And so I had my mom passed away, and she was, thank God, she knew Christ. And so that was a that was a burden that was kind of lifted. Um, Kind of fast forward to the future years. So
Well,
she
you don't have
passed.
to. This is deep stuff, man.
This deep stuff. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, we can hang on this for a second. How
yeah.
obviously the news is not easy. You
No,
know, what was your life like right after she passed?
um, chaotic. I My stepdad. He just didn't know what to do. He asked me, Do you want to stay together?" I said, "No, I want to find my own place." And so we
I'm sorry to ask this. This is an important detail. How old were you at
Mhm.
this time?
This was when I was 21. This was my second year of college.
Okay.
Yeah,
So,
second year of college.
your stepdad is willing to take you in, and you
Yeah.
live with him,
Hmm.
and he's been, I know, newly discovered
Yeah.
thing in your life, but he's
Right.
been pretty foundational, and
Hmm.
um, he invited you to live with him. You turned him down. You just want to do your own thing.
Yeah,
Um, was that ever a consideration of continuing to live with him?
for sure. Um, for sure, I wanted to do that, but um, right, he actually he right after he was staying there for a while, and I was like, hey, I I don't have, I've only known you for 2 years, because
Hmm.
I kind of don't want to live with you. I want to live with my aunt instead.
Right.
And so, he moved out. He found his own place, and we kind of lost contact through the years. But my eventually, I was like, you know what? I kind of want to do go in my own place.
Mm.
Um, I had we still had Section 8 housing, so I was able to afford it, and um, I had to throw a lot of things away and move into a different apartment. But my aunt helped me through the process a lot. She brought food every day to me. Um, but at that time, because of um, this brokenness and hurt, um, I started doing drugs.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're
Yeah.
21 is like a really, really rough time to
Oh gosh.
yeah, be thrown into that. Um,
Yeah, so I didn't even turn 21. Yeah, I was like a couple months before 21, and
yeah.
I turned 21, and I threw this. I had my own apartment by then, right? This
Mhm.
really cushy apartment, um, at a condo area. It's really nice neighborhood. Um, I threw a rager for my 21st birthday.
Hmm.
Uh, Told everyone come over, got drinks, um, and a couple of friends introduced me to some guys, and they're like, "Hey, I want to try some of this." So eventually, um, started I started smoking weed,
Yeah.
um, with them. My ex, me, my girlfriend at that time, we were together for 4 years, and I actually started to skip classes, and I started failing all my classes. I was pre-med. I was going to be a doctor with her,
Oh,
and yeah, it's
wow.
the first class I was failing was chemistry, right? And the second class was physics. Once you fail physics, it's almost no going back. Once you fail chemistry and physics, and then I failed math, which is the big three for being a doctor or like pre-med in biology major. And so she didn't see a future with me. She was like, "Hey, I don't think this is working out." And I was like, "Oh, okay, great. My mom just passed away. I'm failing all my classes, and she's breaking up with me. Great, life's going great." So I got down to this like spiral, man, just like
Yeah, man.
day drinking and night drinking and having parties all the time. I actually remember I threw a party like 3 times a week,
That's a
and
lot.
I
Oh,
know. You should have
dude,
seen my
just
fridge. It was full with alcohol.
dude, hearing that gave me a headache. Like, because I know that life, and I
Yeah.
know it. How long did this go on for before
Oh
you
man.
started getting exhausted from it?
So I started smoking weed, smoking pot probably every day. Once I started doing these drugs, the friends that only drank eventually left,
Mm.
and only the friends that did the drugs stayed. And eventually, um, we had a falling out with some other friends, and they left too. And all I was left with was just myself, the alcohol, and the weed, and the loneliness slowly crept in.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, after my mom passed away and we buried her, I never felt lonely because I had I had I had friends and family around me. But eventually, everything just started slowing down, and everything just started to drift. Right, it was just a really dark phase in my life. I wasn't working. I wasn't going to school. I completely dropped out of college. And some of my friends were graduating, they were leaving. And and yeah, and then I threw this one final party, and um I met a girl at the party, and she stayed over, and she was one of the last ones to leave. And my best friend at that time, Alan, I was just telling him, hey, you should go. So she stayed over and she slept over. And she was really she was like, hey, really nice place. I love your bed. Really looks comfortable. Can I try it? I'm like, oh yeah, sure. So, and then she just never left, man.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I stopped throwing parties. My aunt, bless her heart, she was I was with this girl for quite a while, and we kind of built a small life together, right? My aunt would bring me food almost every day, bless her heart, and she was trying to take care of me, but it eats me up. Like I feel guilty, like to this day, where um, me and my new girlfriend, we were smoking weed together, and my aunt comes, knocks on the door, rings the doorbell to give me food, but I wouldn't open the door. But she knew I was home. My car was home. My car was in the garage. She knew I was home, and she heard the TV on, but I just refused to open the door because at that time we're blazing it up in there. So uh, yeah, this went on for quite a while actually. Um, I was there for like 2 years, man. It was 2 years, and it was going nowhere. I was living off my mom's money, my mom's hard-earned money that she was saving. And luckily, I didn't touch the gold and the jewelry, but it was just her savings, just living off that. My expenses wasn't that high because I had a Section 8 housing. I was paying $100 a month.
Wow.
Yeah, uh, and then like $40 a month for PG&E, and internet wasn't that much back in the day. This was like 2009, 2010, 2011. Um, yeah, my girlfriend at that time, she went to school, and so uh, I dropped her off to school, and I was at home bored. I was like, oh, what am I gonna do? I should go to work. So I found like a job, like a full-time job, just assembling, what was it? Assembling helicopter parts for a drone helicopter.
Hmm.
And I was there for a while, but I would just smoke weed every single day before work, after work, at night. And it was and my girlfriend and I, we were in a very toxic relationship where we would just get into bouts of fights all the time. And the only time that would we would not be fighting was when we were high.
Yeah. I know how that is.
Mhm.
That's it's not a fun existence. It's like your your best self never comes out because you need to be high just to be like bearable.
Exactly, exactly. And it's eventually that smoking uh, pot every day, twice a day, 3 times a day, like that, it took a toll on me, right?
Yeah.
Um, Started to lose my memory. Started, I couldn't recall things I used to. It took a toll on me socially.
Hmm.
At work, I wouldn't talk to anyone. I wouldn't socialize. anyone would invite me to after work drinks or hang out, I'd be like, no, it's okay. I want to go home and smoke weed
Mm.
with my girlfriend, right? And then we would try being sober once in a while because sometimes we were broke, and after paying bills and car payment, whatever, we would have no weed, but we always get into fights. So I will always make buying weed a priority. So I would buy ounces like a week, right? That's a lot.
Yeah.
Smoking up
Yeah.
to
Your
an ounce a week.
tolerance is so high.
It's so high, right?
Yeah.
Um, one day we were just, I was sitting, I was laying at home with her on the bed. We had a dog. The dog was on my chest, and this was like at probably one of the lowest points of my life, right? Because at this point, we were just getting high every day. We're living together, and we're just like living in sin. You don't even know what it is until now in hindsight, but like life was sinful.
Mm.
Um, yeah, one time at that moment I stopped going to church, right? This was years after I stopped Catholic school, Sunday school, years. And um, I just stopped. I never prayed. I nothing like that. So one day, uh, something really crazy happened where I was on my bed with her. She was sleeping. I was watching TV and playing Clash of Clans at the same time, and or some other game I forget. But my dog was sleeping on my chest, and all of a sudden, my dog just jumped up and started barking at the closet. Right, the
Whoa.
closet is like to my right, and I'm like, oh. And maybe a second later, he started barking. The TV turns off. My phone turns off. The lights turn off.
Mm-hmm.
Like almost complete black darkness, right? And I'm like, babe, there's a power outage. Someone hit the transformer or something. I'm shaking her violently. I'm like, get up, get up, get up. She's not waking up. Get up, right? Not waking up. Nothing. Pinching her. Nothing. She doesn't wake up. And I feel this entity just looking down on me. Like I'm trying to wake her up at the same time, but I'm like, hold on. I feel something. And it's like a spider sense where you feel something's wrong and
Mm-hmm.
danger is about to come. And it's like a tingly sensation. And if you ever watched, I know Tyler, you watched Dragon Ball Z, right?
Yeah, of course. Ultra
When
Instinct.
yeah, when Goku transformed into Goku Super Saiyan Blue for the first time in
Oh
front of the
yeah.
gods,
Uh-huh.
they were like, that pressure is incredible, right?
Mm-hmm.
You remember that? They're
Mm-hmm.
like, that pressure. I can't sense this energy, but that pressure.
Mm.
Exactly what I felt. This
Mm.
pressure. And it wasn't a good pressure. It was an
Mm.
enormous, bad, demonic pressure. I was like, well, I don't even know what a demon was at that point. I wasn't deep diving into it, right? I wasn't down
Mm.
to this conspiracy rabbit hole like I would after that day. But I didn't know what it was, but I knew there was something there looking at me in the darkness of that closet. And my closet was like open, there was no shelves or anything. And I feel it getting closer and had the intention of harming me.
Wow.
My dog went off. Like he was shaking, growling, barking, crazy, crazy. And he was sleeping right before that. I don't know what happened, right? Uh, and I have this incredible sense of like danger. Something's out to kill you. This is crazy. I can't see it, but I could feel it. You know what I mean? It's
Mm-hmm.
like the wind. You can't see it, but you could feel it. Imagine like a hurricane just hitting you.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what it felt like.
Wow.
And complete pitch darkness. And at that moment, I didn't know what to do. And I was scared and it felt like an eternity. I couldn't wake her up. The dog can't stop barking. And I said something which, bringing me back to my years of Catholic school and Sunday school, I said, Jesus.
Mm.
And immediately, that pressure vanished,
Wow.
right? Almost like it was being taken away, like yanked out of our dimension. And my dog went back to sleep like nothing ever happened. the TV went on, the light went on, my phone turned back on, and my girlfriend was like, "Babe, what happened?"
Wow.
And you know the funniest story is, Tyler,
No, what?
the audience, I was sober that day.
Oh, the one day you were sober in
Hmm.
this whole ordeal.
Yeah,
Wow. That's a sobering
yeah.
moment to come.
It's definitely a sobering moment, right?
Yeah, man.
I didn't know who Jesus was, like only head knowledge, but I said Jesus.
Yeah.
And for me, like looking back now, it's like, wow, that name Jesus, we take it for granted, right? People
Right, you
curse like
do.
Jesus Christ, right?
Hmm.
But the name is so powerful.
Hmm.
It's so powerful. It's incredibly powerful. Um, and like you watch these movies where like, the power of Christ compels you, right?
Yeah.
It's there's power behind his name.
All these movies based on an exorcism or like really happened.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
Emily Rose, you can listen to don't, but it
yeah.
I've listened to the recording. I regret. It's
It,
terrifying. Possessions are real, man.
possessions are real. Possessions are real. Yeah, that was very scary. I didn't know what to think about it, but but that kind of automatically put in my mind and my heart that Jesus is real.
I love that.
Jesus is real.
So, what did you
Because
do with this newfound information?
I mean, you grow up in the religion, you're like, Jesus this and Jesus that. Okay, yeah, he was a Asian guy, but he felt he was real to me that day. He came through that day for me, and um, with this information that God was real, um, I tried to change my life for the better. Um, I started to um, I started to take steps to go to church. Right, went back to Catholic church
Yeah,
because that's all I knew. I didn't know what a Christian church was. Right?
right.
That's all I knew. And just went back to Catholic church. Um, but yes, I knew he was real, but I was still elbow deep in my addictions.
Mm-hmm.
Right? There's nothing that it was very hard for me to change.
Right.
I
Yeah,
was
you're
still
deep.
with I was in a deep toxic relationship where, yeah, the next day we got into another fight. Right? I was sober, and I was like, I'm just gonna go out and get some weed, and then the
Oh,
cycle
you.
continues on and on. Right?
Yeah. So, how long did this cycle continue on for?
Oh goodness. I was like 3 more years
Wow.
with her. Yeah, with her.
Was it,
It
well,
was
was it 3 years of the same amount of smoking? Or did you trickle down like God was creeping into your life?
trickled down.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely trickled down for sure. And actually, I actually it trickled down, but then I started working at a at a at a dump dump company,
Yeah.
trash recycle station, and one of the guys that was I was training, he kind of he reintroduced cocaine to me again,
Oh,
and
no
so
way. Oh,
yeah, it was crazy. Like I I went back into it,
yeah.
and it was a really tough time. I was
Yeah.
broke all the time.
Yeah.
Um, and then I started, the club started opening up, all right, dispensaries, and access was easy.
Yeah.
And so it was like, oh, weed's not that bad. Everyone's doing it, right?
Yeah.
I got a license to smoke weed, right?
Right.
It's not that bad. So, and then it eventually went to concentrates and the pens, the
Yeah. The worst stuff for you.
it's more concentrated, right? It's like one
Yeah.
hit is like a whole joint,
Right.
basically.
Yeah.
And so I was just puffing that at work.
Oh, jeez.
And so eventually, um, that that moment was fading, right? That moment where I found, or Jesus found me, all right? Or I said his name and his presence was shown, right? Um, that was fading really fast, and I was getting better, and then it went down. It's if you look back, right? It's a trajectory, right? It's like stocks, right? From
Like a
bottom to up,
like a graph.
right? Graph,
Yeah.
right? If zoom out, it's like that, but when you're in it, it's like this.
Yeah, up and down, up and down.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's
That makes
new
total sense.
lows. Yeah, maybe you zoom out, it's like trickling upwards, but
Yeah.
eventually I got really hooked on Coke for a while, and um,
What's a while, by the way? How long?
ah, it
You
wasn't
have
that long, honestly. It
you have
was
a
probably
few months, right? Because in the
like
overall
2
picture,
months.
yeah, over in the overall picture and the upward trajectory, it's a little dip. But
Yeah,
if you're doing it every day, it feels like forever.
for sure, for
Yeah.
sure, for sure. And I was broke all the time, so I was like, oh, I can't be doing this, man. I just got paid. I need to pay bills. I need to save, right? And I just can't do it. Can't be doing this. I had another kind of weird encounter too when I
Another
was.
paranormal one?
Yes, yes. I don't
Wow.
think I ever told you this.
Okay.
Um,
I'm listening.
this was almost rock bottom. Like this was rock bottom, right? This was
Hmm.
like I'm broke. My life's a mess. My house is a mess. Um, I'm not doing good at work. Um, I'm like, it's a mess, right? Like people at work were telling me, "Hey, we know you're on something. You need to stop," right? And they were trying to get me to convert into their religion, which is like Chinese religion of Shao Shenyun. Not, the Shenyun dancers,
Yeah.
what I'm talking about, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, they were trying to convert me to their religion. And I was like, no, 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 not doing it. I don't believe that. I believe in Jesus, right?
Mm.
And then, and then that was crazy because I was like, never thought about Jesus again since that time that I was living with my girlfriend. We broke up already. I'm living by myself. And when they were trying to push that on me, somehow, right, that somehow sparked God back up for me.
Wow.
Right. So that was really I was thankful for that. They were pushing their religion on me, giving me books to read and all this stuff. I was like, no, 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 no. Christ, right? Jesus, God is the one God. And I that came out of nowhere. Um, so that weekend I was at home and sparking it up and all that. I was um I was in bed and I felt this really cold sensation just started creeping over me. And it was hot, mind you, middle of summer. And my shivers down my spine. I had goosebumps all over. I felt incredibly cold. I turned on the heater, and this was like 80 degrees. I turned on the heater, got in a blanket, shivering cold, right? It's like in the horror movies where they have that breath that
Yeah, you can see your
like
breath.
you see your breath. I felt
Yeah.
like I could see my breath.
Wow.
And I was just, oh God. And I started praying, right? It was like the first time I started praying in so long. I was like, God, what's going on? Please get me out of this hole. This is not good. Save me. I know you showed up for me before during that time at my old apartment. I know you could do it again.
Mm.
And I got warm completely, like right away. I had to turn on the AC because it was too hot from the heater.
Wow.
uh, and
Like
then
right after your prayer, like right away?
right after my prayer, I got warm right away. It's like the
That's
Holy
beautiful.
Spirit just came into my body.
I love that.
Yeah. Actually, you know what the prayer I said was? It was David's prayer.
Mm.
Actually, I Googled it, right? I was like, give me a prayer to pray. It was David's prayer. It's like, don't, like, do not remove your spirit away from me, Lord. Create in me a clean heart, right? I
Mm.
said that over and over and over. And I said, in Jesus' name, in Jesus' name, create in me a clean heart. No, don't remove your spirit away from me. Don't take your spirit away from me. And so, um, eventually after that, I started to go to church, a real Christian church.
Is this where I
and
met
then
you?
yeah,
Yeah, cool. Good
yeah,
timing.
yeah,
Nice.
yeah. I went to that um,
How soon, since when you found this church, were you starting to lead groups?
right away.
Yeah, I think it was like your first few months of being there, we were like leading groups together.
Yeah, because I talked to Tim, and then I was like,
Yeah.
hey, is there any? I see a lot of groups. Is there any like Taekwondo self defense group? One day you mentioned that I was just talking to Tyler. You guys should talk.
That's such a God thing too,
I
because
know.
I guess this conversation happened within like a few days of each other.
Yeah,
So like, yeah, God put that idea in my heart, but he also told me to like not do this by myself. And then here you come,
right.
second degree black belt. I'm like,
That's
hey,
crazy, right?
yeah, that's awesome, man.
Yeah. Um, yeah, I eventually I found God because God found me first.
Yeah.
And I had such conviction.
Mm-hmm.
Like a lot of Christians when they start out, they're very agnostic and they're trying to it's feeling their way into the religion.
Right.
For me, it was hardcore proof of
Mm.
who God and Jesus was.
Right.
And that's something that can be taken away from me. And that built a foundation. Like I knew like concrete evidence in my bones that Christ was real,
Mm-hmm.
but I didn't adapt any of what he was teaching.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I didn't seek it out. I didn't pray, things like
Mm-hmm.
that. Um, um, After joining the church, I was good for a couple while, for a long while actually.
Right.
But I was still smoking weed once in a while.
Yeah.
Um, uh, After I met this guy, who was my neighbor, and me and him was like, hey, just you know, let's hang out at the creek, and he brought out a joint, and I was like, oh, why not, right? Just why not?
Yeah.
Just smoke once in a while.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't too much of a big deal. Uh, and then one day I went to this was like 30 years old. I was 30, 29, I would say. I went to my family was like, hey, let's go on a trip to Vietnam.
Yeah.
And and then I went to Vietnam and something happened there, man. It's like it's nothing like crazy paranormal, but just like I had this entire sense of guilt. It's like, what am I doing? Like, why am I going back? Am I really like gonna go back to smoking weed again after all I've been through? Like, I
Right.
have like my family's and still like kind of living in poverty, and I met my grandma's sister, and she's living in this tiny closet space,
Mm-hmm.
the size of my bathroom, right? Just enough for a small twin size bed and a small coffee table, and just poverty. And I see this, and at that time, it's just I was there for 2 weeks. I didn't smoke. Of course, you can't smoke in Vietnam. And I came back just like, you know what? Let's just put that behind me. Let's just grow out of that. So I grew out of that. I pushed myself really hard into work. I pushed myself hard into to serving,
Mm-hmm.
and just started to get into the word more. Man, it was like reading the Bible and reading the study Bible,
Right.
and eventually I went to this Korean church where I met Sam. Right, I met him before, but he took me to his church and started leading study groups there.
Yeah, man.
And it was pretty amazing what God was doing through me, and just kind of iron out my past, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. No, just observation. From my experience of meeting people all over the world who are believers, usually the people who are most committed in their service to God's kingdom are people who've been through the darkest valleys. Um, and the people who um, uh, aren't as committed in their service and their faith are people who grew up comfortable lives, and you, sir, are definitely the former. You've lived a difficult life, and you've overcome a lot of struggle, and you've definitely crawled through the spiritual battlefields. And that awareness of evil spirits out there,
Hmm.
having faced them, is
Hmm.
why I think you're a really effective leader. Not just because you can connect with people, but because you like deeply understand what people should understand. So, like knowing you has been really rewarding for me. I really value your friendship because
Likewise.
thanks, man. I, uh, I appreciate your openness and your ability to get deep with our audience, but also with me, man. We've been having deep conversations
For
for
sure.
years and years and years, but uh, it just for our audience out there to understand. There are people called into leadership in many different ways, but he- I think Matt is a very unique leader in the sense that he's often leading in like in small groups and in recreational settings where he's just offering his ears to listen to people, and um, he's not. I wouldn't call you like a fire and brimstone kind of guy.
I don't
um,
push that on people. I don't tell that
yeah,
testimony to a lot of people.
right. But
For
I think it's helpful to hear it though for those who listen. Uh,
sure.
but there is such a thing of finding the best ways to communicate to people. Sometimes it's just listening all day to someone, and that's what you do really well. Um,
For sure.
yeah. So, anything else you want to share with the audience before we land this plane?
Yeah, so um eventually yeah, I just started to get into church more. I started to serve, and that was my form of worship.
Yeah, man.
That was my form of worship to the Lord, and I it's like jump into 100%, you know? It's like don't leave anything on the table. Look what he's done for you. And something I probably didn't mention was he slowly just started to take that addiction away from me,
Yeah, man.
through the word
Mm-hmm.
and through great friendship like you and discipleship and brotherhood, and started to just pull out these things that I thought I wanted and thought I needed. And like David created me a clean heart, right?
Mm-hmm.
That was my prayer.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
that
Back
was my prayer.
when you were freezing, you prayed
Yeah,
for it.
yeah,
Yeah. So I
yeah,
love that. Holy Spirit definitely answered you that time.
for sure.
Yeah, and just to share with our audience, do you want to at least not you don't have to go into detail or identities, but
Mhm.
you want to share with the audience a big thing coming up in your life soon?
Yeah, I'm getting married.
Yeah, sorry,
I'm
ladies out
getting
there.
married in like 4 months.
Yeah, man, I'm excited for you.
I'm
Just
excited.
getting started with the premarital and all that. It's an exciting time. I'm excited for you, and I know you're gonna be a great husband, and and God's gonna use you in that partnership as well.
Thank
Um,
you.
yep,
Funny story because,
sure.
like I said, that Vietnam trip really changed me and my perception, and I came back a whole new person, right?
Yeah, man.
It's definitely um, it comes back full circle because in 2 years ago I went to Vietnam again, but actually wasn't supposed to go. I didn't want to go, and uh, my my aunt was trying to convince me to go. And that time they were working on a guest parking lot. She was like, "I'll just park in front of my house, the red zone. They're not going to tell you. Don't worry about it." Because everyone's parking in front of the house like that because the guest parking lot is completely renovated. I parked there, and the tow truck came and towed my car.
Oh, you're
They towed
trying
my
to run
car.
away to not
I'm
go on
trying
the
to run.
trip.
Yeah, so I chased him down, and I couldn't make to the tow station before him.
Yeah.
So I ended up having to pay $500.
Oh,
because
wow.
it was like after hours,
Yeah.
gate fee plus the 1 day,
Hmm.
basically a holding fee because it was overnight. Ended up being $500. My aunt felt so bad that she bought me half my plane ticket, right?
Oh, so you had to go.
Yeah. So she was like, here, just pay me half, right?
Hmm.
So I went, and then on the last day, I actually met my future wife in Vietnam.
Yeah, yeah, that's true. Well, that's how God works, man. He puts you in, you might think, you're like, God, why are you doing this to me? Why did you get my car towed? And then it's like, oh, to find my future wife.
Exactly. It's like
Yeah.
the story of Joseph, right? Where he
Hmm.
was like, why am I still in jail, right? When the butler got out, he could have saved me. He could have said, I'm not innocent. Why am I still in jail? But he believed in God. He trusted in God because what happened was then Pharaoh had the dream. And then Pharaoh was like, I need someone to dream.
Right,
I need someone to interpret my dream.
right.
And then Butler was like, "Oh, I remember this kid. He used to interpret my dream. He said I was going to go free." And guess what? If the Butler had helped Joseph been released,
Hmm.
he would have went home to Israel to his dad and brothers. He wouldn't have helped Egypt out of the famine,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
his brothers and his dad would have died from famine.
yeah, yeah, that's true.
Right?
Yeah, and
All these negative things,
yeah,
you know.
yeah, it saved millions of lives. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, and that ties to the devotion you did with us. So, if you're listening still, thanks for making it through this whole testimony. And if you're interested in hearing his devotion on agape love, he does get deeper in that in another episode. So that'll be in the description below. Matt, thank you so much for sharing everything. I love all of your stories. I'm happy to hear it all in one place. I
Thank you.
know you have many more, but for now, that's all we got. Everyone,
Yes.
that was Matt, and more to come from him sometime. We'll see you guys next time.
Yeah.
Hey, everyone, thanks for watching the Virilis podcast.
Now, don't forget, if you like what you have seen here and you want to see more content like this flowing your way, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button on our YouTube channel so you can be notified. Also, we are on Spotify and we have our own website. Don't forget to leave us a 5-star rating so that way we can get more people involved.
Yes, and if you want more exclusive content, go to our website in the description below. There we have our full unedited podcast devotions, and we also have blueprints. Yes. So what does that mean, Charlie?
So that means that we have blueprints where you can start a group of your own. If you feel compelled to do so, you can download the content and you can contact us with any questions that you would have about starting a group. But in the meantime, goodbye and Godspeed.